So I'd like to invite our first speaker to come forward, MLA David Shepherd. David Shepherd was elected as the MLA for Edmonton-Centre in 2015. He's a champion in our community for active transportation and an avid cyclist. In 2017, he worked as a member of our government to ensure the official recognition of Black History Month in Alberta. David is a talented musician, powerful community educator, longtime community volunteer, and also a dear friend. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Bridget. It's an honor to be here today on the traditional territory of Treaty 6 land, also of deep significance to the Métis people of Alberta. On behalf of Premier Rachel Notley, all of my colleagues with the government of Alberta, to support hate-free Yeg. It was just over 20 months ago that we saw 6 Muslims in Quebec brutally murdered at prayer. In the months since, we've seen continued acts of hatred and violence. We've seen the continued rise of voices of hatred and intolerance, both in the States, here in Canada, and indeed it's something that we're seeing around the world. We're going through a difficult period, I think, as societies, as we've reached a place where communities that have traditionally been disempowered, that have not had voice, that have not had the chance to be heard, as we as a society have been making adjustments, we've been making room, we've been making space for more stories, for more diversity, for more people to participate. And unfortunately, as that growth has happened, there have been some, I think, who have felt fear, who have felt that they have had a loss of power, that they have had a loss of opportunity or advantage. And they are turning to groups like those that we are talking about today. It's led to events like what we saw in Charlottesville. That's led to public figures that unfortunately have been using language of division to stoke that anger, to stoke that fear for their own political gain. I think it's incredibly important that we as community members, that we as elected officials, that we all stand together to declare that we will not stand for that in our society. Because in truth, I truly believe there are far more of us that are committed to building a truly inclusive society where all people have equal opportunity, where all communities have a chance to be part of the systems and the wheels of power that govern our society than there are of those who want to promote hatred, intolerance, and division. And if we are willing to stand together, if we are willing to have these important conversations with our friends and family members, to push back against fear and disinformation, if we are willing to show up at events like this, if we are willing to take action to confront hatred when it rises in our community, we can stop it. We can have an impact. We can ensure that inclusion and love and acceptance are going to win out. I recognize that government has a role to play in this, both in that public figures need to be quick to denounce, need to be unwilling to stand with or take advantage from groups that promote this kind of hatred, intolerance, and division. And it frustrates me, it saddens me, and it angers me when I see public officials that choose to do so. So it's incredibly important as members of government and those who have this opportunity that we stand up against that. I also recognize that we have a role as government to provide resources to combat it. So I'm proud to be part of a government that brought forward an anti-racism strategy this year that's going to be providing resources to community groups to help combat racism, working to create a Alberta-wide provincial anti-hate crimes task force, provide further resources to police and others who are continuing to work towards confronting racism, hatred, and indeed tracking groups that are promoting that here in our province. That's another work. I realize there is more investment that needs to happen, and I am in support of seeing that happen. And it's fantastic to see that others are stepping up across the community, across levels of government, to do this important work. And it's wonderful to see groups like Hate-Free Yeg and all the others who've been stepping up to do this work. Recognize Progress Alberta, who's here today, Recognize Manwar Khan, who's been working on anti-bullying and anti-hatred for some time in this city, and a number of others. So I want to say thank you to Bridget, thank you to Robbie for putting this together today, and for the opportunity to continue to stand as a community against this. And recognize others who are here today. Janice Irwin, community advocate, I know, who is also seeking to run for public office. Mr. Bob Philp, who is also seeking to run for public office and did excellent work with the Alberta Human Rights Council. And others who are here today to support this work and ensure that we as a community continue to come together and stand against hatred and intolerance. Thank you for this opportunity.